Hi, I am Dr. Anthony P. Miller from the International Mises Academy. I'd like to invite you to join us at the course Principles of Praxeology. In this short clip, I will give you an overview of the items we will treat. Enjoy. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the course. Now let's go on. Hi, welcome to Praxeology. Here we treat the main principles and implications of this concept. I'm Anthony Miller from the International Mises Academy. Let's go on. Value and valuation. So we start with the concept of human action. Human action is not behavior. Human action is conscious, purposeful behavior that employs means to achieve ends in a rational way. The individual, as the finally indivisible unit, is the acting agent. Goods and services have no inherent value outside of the individual's judgment. Value is subjective. It cannot be measured, only ranked. Because preferences are subjective, interpersonal comparisons of states of satisfaction are illegitimate. So here we have already several of the main points. Human action is not the same as simply behavior. Anything can behave, molecules can behave. The movement of an animal is a behavioral event. So human action is a category that includes consciousness, purpose, means, and ends. We analyze phenomena under this viewpoint, and this viewpoint reveals many things to us that are usually hidden, be it the behavior, the action of ourselves, or be it even things seemingly remote from praxeology, as the, let's call it, behavior of the stock market. Because we look at the stock market, for example, not just as a behavioral phenomenon, but as under the aspect of human action, of consciousness, and which involves purpose, means, and ends of human beings. So for us, as praxeologists, the individual is the finally indivisible unit. He is the acting agent. Very important is the point, there is no such thing as an objective value, as a value that can be objectively denoted or measured or compared. Goods and services or anything, nothing has in this sense, even money or Bitcoin, there is no inherent value. Even in gold, there is no inherent value. But it depends on our individual's judgments. And sometimes, let's say, silver derives a part of its value from the fact that it is used in the production process. But the value that this has in the production process depends on the evaluation of the goods that are produced this way, the evaluation that individuals, consumers, attributed to this fact. Value is subjective. It cannot be measured, only ranked. So, because preferences are subjective, interpersonal comparisons of states of satisfaction are illegitimate. They are wrong. They cannot be made. We must reject that. This, in one hand, liberates us from overjudging ourselves insofar as we are liberated to take some apparently objective judgment as our own, and it liberates us to judge other people too harshly, while we must simply recognize, well, it is their subjective judgments and I will respect it. Only insofar as these different judgments inflict negatively other persons, have we a right to intervene in the sense of defending us against them. So it's not a passive thing only. Time is a central concept to praxeology. The past can no longer be changed. Bygones are bygones. This is a basic insight, and it also has a liberating effect on us. The present is what counts, but it is temporary. We act in the present while having future outcomes in mind. What has happened had somehow to happen. It could not have been otherwise because it had happened the way it is. This is also a liberating aspect of praxeology. And then again, we act in the present is temporary, and the future is uncertain. So there's no need to blame ourselves if things should go wrong, and we must not be too surprised when things turn better than we can expect. Although this is a liberating effect of thinking in praxeological terms. The actor's time preference is always positive. That is, we necessarily must prefer what is closer to the present more than which is further away in the future. Negative time preference is logically impossible. We will point this out in depth in the course itself. Here, just a few ideas of what we are talking about and what you can expect from this course. Choice, error, and correction. We cannot escape the burden to choose. Choice is always present. We must make decisions and we decide permanently. Even if we desist from a certain action, we act. We act in the way not to act this way and remain passive, but we cannot remain passive because action is always with us. Actions may benefit or harm others, but even altruistic acts aim to reduce one's own uneasiness. So, so-called altruistic behavior, in fact, is also selfish behavior. It cannot be otherwise because it is our trade-off that we compare different degrees of sacrifice. All action is necessarily oriented toward the future. We cannot change the past. We only can change our future by acting in the present. But the act is in its consequences uncertain. So the outcome of actions are never fully known. But let's be clear, there can be positive and negative surprises. So this is also a liberating attitude to face the future under the aspect of uncertainty, more or less so. There are some things we can trust more reliable than others, but in the end, it is always uncertain, and we can have positive and negative surprises. One cannot correct an error committed in the past, but While we cannot change the past, we can learn from our errors and our successes and apply them to our present action. We always act nick et honk in our present conditions. So these present conditions are in some way the result of the past, but nevertheless, we can also act under the current conditions and act forward looking to change our present situation in terms of moving forward to a new environment, to a new condition, to new circumstances that we deem better for us at the moment than the present condition. Otherwise, we would be still. Choice, error, and correction. This triad are the constituents of human action. One implies the other. Well, that was just a quick overview of our course, Principles of Praxeology. To know more, go to our site of the International Mises Academy, misesinternational.org, to learn more. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the course. Bye.